Geopolitical, Yuri, you asked, but I think I needed this introduction, but with the help of the audience, as Applebaum was already said, because that will be first and foremost on their minds. I think the geopolitical element in this whole discussion, but you said it in other words, I'd rather see, and there are lots of Putin versteher in this part of Europe, I see much rather a Ukraine which develops itself economically, politically, like Poland has developed. And I think Putin is very afraid that Ukrainians want to become Poles. Ukrainians want to become Poles. As soon as Ukrainians have become Poles, because they have the rule of law, they have good governance, they do not have corruption anymore, Putin really has to fear that will infect his own system in Russia. So I think Putin at this stage
because the democracy of the Poles has infected Ukraine.
And I think Putin is afraid that this will happen. This is not about NATO. I mean, it was about NATO in 2008 and the invasion into Georgia in August 2008. It is now, of course, much more for this virus of governance and this virus of the rule of law, which Vladimir Putin doesn't like. On the military side and on the NATO side, I think the conclusion should be that when the wall fell in 1989, we in Western Europe have taken a geopolitical holiday which lasts till this very day.
You mean, and what do you mean with that holiday?
Geopolitical holiday. Well, there was Pax Americana, the wall had fallen, we have cashed the peace dividends between
and
1989
Americans were
2015.
paying for the army, and
we have so much diminished and cut on our budgets of defense that it is now impossible, as we saw in Libya, as we see elsewhere, to wage any serious military operation without the help of the United States of America. Read Obama's Atlantic interview. The difference, I think, between Barack Obama in the Syrian case and Putin is that Obama did not enforce his red line and Putin will enforce his red lines. And that's why also for me the key word is deterrence. We should deter Putin of doing anything stupid vis-à-vis the Baltics, launching a kind of hybrid warfare, which he did rather successfully in Crimea. We have majority Russian cities, as everybody knows, in Estonia, in Latvia. NATO should beef up its deterrence. I'm happy and glad that the Americans, Ash Carter, the Secretary of Defense, decided to invest more in pre-positioning equipment. But there is a European responsibility as well here. And then I come back to my Putin versteher. There are too many people, too many for my liking, who say, but we shouldn't provoke the guy. Why should we provoke him? We shouldn't provoke him, we should deter. And I can tell you, and Applebaum can tell us, including me, much better than I can, that from the comfort of The Hague, or Rotterdam, or Paris for that matter, when you live in Tallinn, or you live in Riga, or you live in Vilnius, or you live in Warsaw for that matter, given the history, that threat is there. Look at the Finns and the Swedes and their discussion on coming closer to NATO. The Hague is comfortable, Amsterdam is comfortable, but also NATO, in its Warsaw summit, by the way, which is the next summit of NATO, should take this well into consideration. So yes, there is a geopolitical argument. Yes, there is an argument on deterrence. And let me finish, not to concern the audience, but the more we continue in neglecting our conventional defense, the more we lower the nuclear threshold. Putin has restarted the nuclear debate. During and after Crimea, Putin has positioned missiles in the exclave of Kaliningrad, missiles near the Black Sea, missiles in the Eastern Mediterranean. NATO should answer. And that is not warmongering, that is simply the word deterrence. The word deterrence we know from the Cold War. We don't like the word deterrence, but that's what it's all about. So I couldn't agree more with that remark Applebaum just made.